All right, let's get this thing started. I know people will trickle in as they did last time. Just want to welcome you all. We've been hosting this bi-monthly California Youth Poet Laureate series, really as a way to sort of bring groups together from across the state, but also since we're connected to the National Youth Poet Laureate program, bring together folks from the whole movement. Since we have these incredible poets that are joining us. It's in partnership with Beyond Baroque. We're really grateful for them for hosting this and just being a partner to the program in California for many years now. We always sort of feature poets that have a connection to California. So the two poets today, one is actually from Oakland, California, and the other has been living in Cali for many years. Two of my favorite poets as well. So just to say a few words on behalf of our co-presenter, Beyond Baroque. They offer free weekly writing workshops, regular paid intensive workshops, and weekly literary programming. They'll post a link in the chat for you to explore what they have coming up. And also one really cool opportunity that's open right now that they wanted me to shout out is the Amanda Gorman Future Voices Poetry Prize. It's open to California-based high school poets of color. The prize is named after Beyond Baroque and Urban Word alum Amanda Gorman, and offers $10,000 in scholarship and prize money in 2022. The applications are due May 1st, and they will also post the link to the applications in the chat. So if you're a California youth poet, high school poet of color, please apply to that. If you know any high school poets of color from the state of California, please check that out. It's a really great opportunity. Amanda Gorman, as you know, was the first Los Angeles Youth Poet Laureate and then went on to be the first ever National Youth Poet Laureate. So anyway, in case you hadn't heard of her, I just needed to let you know. But if you hadn't heard of her, you must live in a cave. All right, we're about to get this reading started. We have two incredible poets, as I mentioned, Mahogany L Brown and Tonya Ingram. We're gonna kick it off with Tonya Ingram, who I like to refer to as T.I. Tonya is a poet, Cincinnati native, Bronx-bred introvert, mental health and lupus advocate, kidney transplant hopeful, cat mom, and lover of The Office. Tonya has graced the stages of the Getty Museum, Madison Square Garden, San Francisco Opera House, New Eurekan Poets Cafe, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, Lexus Verses and Flows variety show, and The Price is Right. I saw her win. She won the whole thing. You know, the thing at the end where you win a car, she won it. It's ridiculous. The footage is priceless. And in the pages of the New York Times, Vice ID, Bustle, and Marie Claire. She's graced classrooms across the US and Ghana, just to name a few. And her viral collaboration with BuzzFeed, An Open Letter to My Depression, has reached over 4 million views and counting. She is currently a writer for Hallmark, Mahogany, and the founder of Poetry in Color at Los Angeles County Museum of Art. A friend, creative, daydreamer, and Virgo, Tonya's writing explores the necessity in taking care of ourselves, especially on days when we feel unworthy. Her latest book, How to Survive, is also available. And I've known her since she was like a teenager, which is crazy. So thank you, Tonya. I'm gonna pass it over to you.
Amazing.
Give it up virtually, however we do that.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sorelli, for those wonderful words. I've known Sorelli and Mahogany since I was like 18. I am now much older, but it's just really beautiful to like see. It kind of just feels like a beautiful full circle moment. So I'm really, really honored to be here. So I'm just gonna jump in. The first poem I'm going to recite is not my own poem, but it is my favorite poem of all time. And it's a poem that I love to just bring into spaces to just invite us all in. And it is Won't You Celebrate With Me by Lucille Clifton. Won't you celebrate with me what I have shaped into a kind of life? I had no model, born in Babylon, both non-white and woman. What did I see to be except myself? I made it up here on this bridge between starshine and clay, my one hand holding tight my other hand. Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me, and has failed. A lot of my work tonight, you will hear, is about my health journey. And I think it's important for me to state this now so that you can understand. But I have lupus, which is a chronic illness that affects my kidneys. And over time, I've lost the function of my kidneys where I have to do dialysis every night. And I'm currently waiting for a kidney transplant. So a lot of my work is informed by my process to heal, which started at the age of 22. So I just wanted to lay that foundation before I proceed. But this next poem is entitled Questions for the Day After a Mental Breakdown. Have you ever been angry with God? Have you ever belonged to a body? Have you ever been a body you didn't belong to? Have you ever been yours, been ill, been a witness at your own funeral, clean house and still missed a spot? Have you ever sat in a bed and denied mourning? Was it in a hospital? Was it in a hotel of a body you do not know? Was it home? Have you ever missed a mother who is still alive? Are you still alive? Where is your father? Is he God? Where is the wound? Does it have a pulse? What is lupus? Can it peel skin like a ripe orange? Is it a body in war with itself? Are you at war with your kidneys, with the ugly you named before your brilliance, with the men who did not stay? What is strength? Does it keep an address? When was your first kiss? Did it hurt? Did it matter? The needles, the IV, the chemo, the dialysis, the catheters, the doctor with bad news, the TV with bad news. Will it get better? Does better have a name? Is it a body? Is it yours? Will it arrive tomorrow? Can you hold on until then? The saddest thing is not the diagnosis. How my body swelled like a loaded cannon, not the IV sunk into blood a ready ship, not the girl who could not name the days of the week, whose mind was camp for anything blur. It is not how I called death a magnificent friend, told him to take me where he finds rest, that I may know air beyond a hospital. The silence of another thing wrong with me. No, the saddest thing is the body void of love. For then, and only then, do you go missing. For a lot of my 20s, I really struggled with loneliness and depression. And it really informed just a lot of how I showed up in the world. And I really feel like for the first time in my life, now that I'm in my 30s, for the first time, I feel like I'm okay with myself. I'm okay with my loneliness, and I'm learning how to love those pieces of myself. So this poem I'm about to share is that journey of loneliness. And so again, I just want to put that out there too, because I think in this time of the pandemic, I think a lot of us dealt with loneliness. And so I hope this speaks to anyone who's struggling with that. And it's entitled, Here is What Loneliness Tells You. You are the only one. You are the girl who feels awkward referring to herself as a woman because some part of you is unable to grow into it, unable to launch melancholy to the west and leave it in an ocean. You are the good girl, always the good girl and the quiet kick. You are the girl who finds men who need only to loan your body for the night. You are one night, never morning. You are house party and shadow and hard hands that know how to travel. You are a girl who travels alone for poems, for crying, for high. Aren't you tired of writing about faceless men, all who want your words, all of them made of grin, cheek, and game, all of them some kind of actor, of slow exhaustion, slow fading. You are the girl who texts too much. You are made of too much, and so you deserve ignore. an Uber home. You deserve, but we had a good time, because what more are you made of? What more than the good? It's Anchor, it's Slingshot, it's online dating app, it's aimless run. You are the girl who runs into the same ocean where you left grief before you grew into it. And here is what love tells you. You are yours before you choose anyone else. Your cicada and buzz, loose flannel and cupped green tea. You are soft knuckles, the kind to know warmth like dawn. You are dance alone. You are unafraid of alone. It is acoustic, the rain. It is his name and its irrelevance. It is your name and its blossom. It's awaken. It is run to the ocean, and there is no sadness. And there is no sadness. And there is no sadness. You are growing. A woman who knows her name. And that is that piece. Okay, I'm not like the best at small talk, but I will say this. I'm currently watching Succession, which is such an amazing television show. So if you need something to watch, I recommend Succession. I also recommend The Office, which is my favorite television show of all time. This is Michael Scott. And that is my talk for now. Also, I'm a cat mom. That is something new in my life. She's my emotional support animal. Her name is Jojo. So if you do see a little fur animal running past the screen, that is her. So I'm gonna get back into some poems now. Okay, this next poem, it is entitled An Open Letter to My Depression. So the collaboration I did with BuzzFeed a few years ago was for this poem. And again, I also am diagnosed with major depressive disorder and have been for some time. And so living with that, I think especially at this time in my life, I'm learning how to accept that and take it just day by day. But this poem is for anyone who's struggling and just needs the reminder that like, you're not alone. So this is An Open Letter to My Depression. And it begins with a quote from the late Robin Williams. Also, just any trigger warnings, if this may be too heavy, I do recommend if it's safe for you to step away, please do that and take care of yourself. But this is the poem. And yes, the quote is from Robin Williams that I'll start with. I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless, and they don't want anyone else to feel like that. Robin Williams. Yesterday, I cried enough to name myself the sad girl again, waiting for any boy again who is ignorant to the splendid pace of my run. How my love is sometimes a coward, and after that, 13 men becomes another number. And after that, lonely develops a sex and an authority. And after that, my thoughts are family, always fussing about the wrong I have done, about the pretty I burned. What I learned of sadness is from you. You, childhood friend. You, midnight back talk. Got all the answers right. Hold my wrist and this blade right. You want these veins, this blood, a red river I cannot swim in. You met me, 12 years old, weeping. You met me, 12-year-old, molested. You, unseen leech, unknown father, find nearest ledge, say, walk out, say, suspend, say, wouldn't I be happier dead? You, slick tongue, animal of gossip, Golden Gate Bridge, train station platform, my mother's good knife, loving you, got me sick, got me suicide watch, got me blue pill. You tell me, boy won't love me, but a fasten rope can. You tell me, lupus is incurable, can't have 7 children, can't be hospitalized 3 times in 1 year and call that healing. You, a contradiction, a house of lies. Sickness can do that, you know. It can lie, it can claw,
Reverse the body until it is fickle, until my fear grows fangs. It will rattle in the dark, and truth be told, my sadness is a sour bullet, a spiraling balloon. It will not cease, it will not quiet, and I am afraid to die. Depression is a house of teeth. It will write you into a story without rest. It will kin you. Comb your mouth into a haunting and name it a vacant wilderness, but dare yourself, extraordinary human, to run into unbolted joy screaming, you cannot have me. You cannot have me. I am not my past. I am not yesterday's shame. I am worthy of love. I am worthy. I forgive the people who are not strong enough to believe in me. I am kicking into the sky like it is the only way. Oh, that is an open letter to my depression. Okay, I have about two more. If you are listening to this and you are feeling just the weight of it all, I do encourage you just to take an inhale and an exhale, because the world is pretty heavy right now in many ways. And so I just think it's important to just ground ourselves and just to be here. So yeah. Okay, this next poem is entitled Until the Stars Collapse. And fun fact, this poem was actually published in the New York Times on my 27th birthday, which felt really beautiful. And so I'm gonna share it because it just makes me happy. Okay, it's entitled Until the Stars Collapse. You owe it to yourself to quit being the apology, to hold your hand and sing your favorite song, to love another and see how far that will go, to love yourself and forget where you were headed in the first place. Love is a funny story. It wakes up and builds a plot. It wakes up and shapes you into the kind of woman your mother studies. I am not perfect in it. I am not even remotely articulate, but it is big, this love. It is airborne and triumphant. I am no easy show. I hurt like the climb of my lineage. I hurt on purpose. I hurt to not be hurt. No, none of this is an excuse, just a blueprint, a map. Come find me when the day is bronze and the sorrow is full. I am building my poem in this here heart. All of it is a working title. And that is that piece. Okay, I'm down to my last poem. And this poem I wrote when I was 22 years old, which is the age I was diagnosed with lupus. And I actually wrote this poem while I was in the hospital. One of my poetry friends, Jaha Zainabu, who I met through the amazing Mahogany, she came to visit me in the hospital, and I was just kind of like not present in any way, shape, or form. And she told me to write through it. And at the time in my mind, I was like, no, I'm not feeling like I don't want to write, but something called me to do it, and I did it, and it really had such a therapeutic. I needed it. I needed to write that poem while I was in the hospital, and I revisit it every year. Lupus is a chronic illness that has no cure, so I find it to be my responsibility just to remind myself every year to that I'm still here. I'm still fighting. And so this poem is entitled, I Am 22. I was 22 rocking the latest 85. Always down for a diner. Thrift shop educator, 8 Mile enthusiast, Cincinnati Bengals fan. I'm gonna stop right here. The line, I'm gonna say it, it's cool. Cincinnati Bengals fan win, and if it will ever matter, it's important I stop this poem to just say the Bengals made it to the Super Bowl, and they lost, but I just felt like, amen. Okay, so going back, I'm gonna start over. I was 22 rocking the latest 85, always down for a diner. Thrift shop educator, 8 Mile enthusiast, Cincinnati Bengals fan, when and if it will ever matter. Kendrick Lamar's hand in matrimony, the epitome of hashtag that awkward moment when Angela Bassett's bestie, hater of all things Hollister, a Gryffindor or Ravenclaw, but never the Hufflepuff, the embodiment of Olivia Pope as Patronus. I was in love with the boy and his hand-stitched guitar, his odd-stitched heart, harmonizing in the key of lonely. I am mother's water broke in church pew, father's lost letter, daughter he will never meet. I am scared to be Black. I am proud to be Black. I've never seen The Notebook, but I've rewatched every installment of Friday. I am metaphors that boost my street cred because all I want in life is to rap under the alias Tanyasaurus Rex. I am a bullet in an open flood, swimming in the junkyard of the most sacred drowning. I am a girl still learning God. Lupus is an autoimmune disease. This means immune cells in the body that usually destroy viruses begin attacking healthy parts of the body, such as skin, blood cells, kidneys, heart, and brain. The cause of lupus is not known. Common symptoms include a butterfly-shaped rash across the bridge of the nose, sunlight sensitivity, arthritis, fatigue, or depression. There is no cure for lupus, but most people can lead normal, active lives with proper care. I am diagnosed, but I've rewatched every installment of Friday because all I want in life is to rap under the alias Lupus is an autoimmune daughter he will never meet, a thrift shop virus. This means the cells in the body are scared to be Black. Other parts of the body, such as skin, blood cells, kidneys, heart, and brain are always down for a diner. The cause of lupus is not known. Common symptoms include harmonizing in the key of lonely and the embodiment of Olivia Pope as Patronus. I am in love with sunlight sensitivity, swimming in the junkyard of fatigue that usually attacks and hates all things Hollister. I am a Gryffindor who began attacking the normal parts of my body for never seeing The Notebook. The butterfly-shaped rash across the bridge of the nose is depression. I am proud to be mother's water broke in church pew, the epitome of hashtag there is no cure. I am 30, rocking the latest lupus. Common symptoms are metaphors that boost my odd-stitched kidneys, stunning blood cells, wrecking brilliance of a brain, still heart, good skin. Most people can lead normal, active lives without cure, with proper care, in an open flood, where the most sacred drowning is the girl who is still learning God. Thank you all for having me.
Wow, thank you, Tanyasaurus Rex. That was amazing. I loved it. Wow, thank you. Those lupus poems are incredible. I can't even imagine what a gift they will be to the lupus community, which our executive director of Urban Word is also a lupus warrior. So we're gonna go on to our next poet, great friend, mentor, really family to me, Mahogany L Brown, selected as Kennedy Center's Next 50, is the executive director of Just Media, a media literacy initiative with a focus on the criminal legal system, and is informed by her career as a writer, organizer, and educator. Brown, who also serves as Urban Word's New York City's artistic director, has received fellowships from Art for Justice, Air Serembe, Cave Canem, Poets House, Mellon Research, and Rauschenberg. She is the author of recent works Vinyl Moon, Chlorine Sky, Woke, A Young Poet's Call to Justice, Woke Baby, Black Girl Magic, and the book-length poem I Remember Death by Its Proximity to What I Love, which was ridiculous. She is the founder of the Woke Baby Book Fair, a traveling diverse reading campaign, and is the first ever poet in residence at Lincoln Center. And she lives in Brooklyn, New York. Also, she curates, hosts, produced the Black Girl Magic Ball, which is coming up very soon on March 28th. I will put the link in there. It's not just for Black girls, it's for everyone, and it's an amazing celebration of Black women. Featured performances by Yaya Bey and an incredible list of honorees that will be honored as part of that event. So without further ado, Give it up for Mahogany L Brown.
Beep, beep, beep. Thank you, Sorelli. Thank you, Tonya. It's always good to hear poems from folks who have been doing the work, and it's not just a passerby situation. Tonya has been literally a part of this world for over a decade. And I'm just so honored to bear witness. Sorelli also, first person I ever wrote a group poem with. I just want to get that down in writing. It did happen. Only reason I remember it happened is because my daughter, she was 7 at the time, maybe 5. Amari was 5 or 7. Either way, Amari remembered the poem. My daughter remembered the poem. So I know it happened. Word. All right, I'm gonna start off with something brand new. It's a triptych. I wrote it on New Year's Day. It's called New Year's Day. Triptych. Old friend, 1. Old friend, I say to myself in the mirror, we meet here again on the brink of never again. And should I have another slice? This may come as news, but you are still loved, and you are still in love, and you are still becoming. 2, new friend. Welcome to the day you did not begin to know you would find you still whole and together in someone's favorite and someone's villain. Can you imagine? You are here despite it all. The cliff of time begins when you open your eyes. The clock strikes your eyes, wicked glint thieves, always taking away the goodness that keeps you as close to your childhood ghost. 3, friend. We meet again. I cannot tell you who will try to take your life. Sodium, high blood pressure, or envy. But I can tell you this brown flesh is still yours and good. Amen. I can tell you your mother is still here and knows your name. Amen. I can tell you the art you paper pressed between prayer and palm became legacy. You, beautiful blood architect, so happy to see you for the first time again. And I wanted to open with that because my mom is in the room, y'all. Ding, ding, ding. Good job, lady. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. I know that labor was long. Shout out to you and your stamina, all right? The next thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna try and read a whole bunch of like new poems or poems that I rarely get to read in spaces like this. This poem, Country of Water, I had the honor of reading it alongside the New York Philharmonic Orchestra, where it world premiered. And I, as an artist, you just hope that you get to remember those stages. And I've been performing full time since 2001. That's a lot of stages. I hosted the Nuyorican for 13 years. That's 97 slams a year. I coached 3 different slam teams through 3 different series for 7 different years. All that to say, I don't remember a lot, y'all, but I am thankful that I'm getting time to remember now. So take it easy and remember the sweetness if you can. I know who I am because I believe it. The breath in my chest, insistent in its choice, the skin that I'm in, the bones and blood and veins it carries like a promise. Have you witnessed the ocean? Moving with so much gust and life, have you witnessed the river? Still waters bubbling, the rebirth of school, have you witnessed your own body? Becoming its own country of water, moving against the tide of a world so heartbreaking. It's forgotten its own voice. Be still, friend. Be still. Be kind to yourself in the gift of stillness. I know who I am because I believe it. I know who I believe in threes we will come. A drip of water moving against a boulder. Water slow and steady can turn rock into a pebble, like anxiety, like self-doubt, smaller until gone. Let your love for yourself be the water, be the rise, be the mist. Let you be. I know who I am because I believe it. I believe I am my mother's daughter. I believe I am my grandmother's prayers. I believe I am my great-grandmother's backbone revealed. I am because I believe so. I am because a woman believed in me. What a continent I became. What a country of water I be. I flow and fluid and rise and ebb, and I believe in me. I am not wrong. I have been wronged. In this skin I've reclaimed from the trap of this country's tourniquet, only to find the sweet solace is a riverbed. Its mud beckons me closer to its silt. Small fish and forgotten glass unearth themselves like baby teeth. Only one can cut into flesh purposely. Only one does not know what it is capable of. I believe in the air as much as I believe in the fire. I believe in the fire as much as the water consumes. I believe in a higher source, energetic and wise. I believe in my ability to thrive. This body is a good thing. Turning 2 miles walked over a bridge into a family's meal, creating poems that become cashier's checks, dentist bills, and rent. I have 3 holes in my teeth and a nation that pretends I didn't almost die for it to survive. I am still here. I am still here. And like the ocean, full of salt and shells, full of ship remnants and noble ones, I bleed and the sand grieves. I be because someone survived for me to be here today, breathing this almost air, marching for cleaner belongings. My front seat beneath the deadening stars is still a seat, it's still a ground, it's still a home that I can pronounce my given name, to write amongst the forgotten names, the taken and the ignored. But today, there are no tombstones. Today, there is no true death, only life, only life, only a song of the living. Maybe even a belief system with water as its minister. I am water. I dive into my own currents. I dress my dreams in the satin breath of my ancestors. I know who I am. I know who I am because I believe it. Shout out to Elizabeth Acevedo and Sarah Kay, both amazing artists, and there are lines that like brought me closer to that poem by reading poems alongside them. I feel lucky to be in this time. All those 2 artists that I also said were also like young people that went to Urban Word. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. Urban Word is the North Star. Okay. Do not make grief your God. When did I write? Okay, I think I wrote this right at the beginning of the panini, maybe. It was something that was making me deal with a lot of like sadness. And again, I'm originally from California, Bay Area represent. I moved to Brooklyn, New York in 1999. And winters were cute until I broke my ankle, right? And then I ain't like winter no more. I don't want it. 5 surgeries later, and then of course I've been there for 22 years, and now I'm learning that I have seasonal affects disorder. So I'm like sad at November 1, like no fail, it get gray, and I'm like, meh, meh, meh. And this was the moment. I think right when it hit and I left. We were wintering in warmer places and just trying to be safe. And this was something that really, I think, guided me. And I'm thankful for Split This Rock for publishing it. It's called Do Not Make Grief Your God. Instead, make it a cup of coffee. The espresso percolator wheezing on the biggest eye of the stove. Consider the dress. Line up every spark you own and weep at its small finalities. Hold each piece of silk and cotton like the gone love hero heart. Name the garment, please. Give grief a name. Then fold it, origami. Place it kindly in a home suitable for royal things. Text every contact in your cell phone. I love you. I love you. I love you. You. Try this same exercise with your email inbox, newsletters, spams, and such correspondence. Each item will bounce back with your declaration in the subject line. I love you. I love you. You, you, you. Glorious chant of remembrance. Praise the ability to feel this deep. The goldfish, the grandparent, the ball player, the children detained, the spoiled water, the sewer split government, the son, the daughter, the bullet, the gift of ghosting, the promise of no more, the mother, the father, the empty womb, the empty heart, the desert branch throat clenching tightly, a name no one will speak. On the third day, pull yourself out of bed. Wake with a start. Can you feel death's bone milk? Good. This means you are among the living. Good. This means your heart is yours. Do not drink from the glass left next to your bed overnight. Do not drink from the glass of the unknown. Find fresh water. Find fresh water. Become fresh water. Pour into yourself. On the fourth day, when you wake, leave grief asleep if you can. If grief is already sitting upright on top of the duvet covers, next to your closet, on the nightstand, against the crowded windowsill, call it by the name you've crowned it. Grief will watch you make the bed and fluff the pillows with lavender oil. Invite grief for a walk. Remind it with a whisper, we all need fresh air. You and grief move soundless beneath the sun. You climb the stairs, past the puddles of dew and undisturbed dog shit. You and grief walk side by side, hands not touching, but feather wisp close. The light tips its full cup everywhere. Word. So thinking of my time, thinking of a master plan. I'm with you, Tonya. I don't even do segues no more. It's like, what do I have to say? Poem, then poem, then poem, poem, poem. But I'm very happy y'all are here, especially in a time when we are tired of Zoom. I get it, baby. I know. That's why I have on these blue light things, because my little head was like fuzzy. But this is a way that we still get to share space with each other. And I think I'm going to miss it, quite honestly. I love being able to be very far away from home and still very close to new friends. So hopefully we can figure out a way to balance it. Speaking of balance, I think one of the hardest jobs to do is be an artist and be kind to yourself. I think being an artist means that you're constantly critical, right? You're engaging, you're looking at the world, you're observing, you're archiving. That is your job. You are amazing at it, the historians that we are. But also the critiques happen, and they don't happen in a vacuum, right? They happen outside. We look at who's telling us that we're worthy. We're looking at who makes the long list for the prizes and who's on the New York Times and who's been like, we really get caught up in the ticking of the box to assure that we're doing the art that is worth remembering. When the reality is, you creating art, that is the true act of remembering. And so I wrote this poem to remind myself to stay off the gram, stop worrying about who's what, where, just do the work, and peace will find me. It's called Necropolis Language. And it was published, or I guess put on a kind of mural style thing for Tulsa, Oklahoma's anniversary this past year. The poet who does not make the list will scour the adverts for a sign to keep living. A writer who is not remembered remembers every utterance from a negative, painstaking review. Hallowed be thy claim to being the baddest alive, and alive means I am the baddest when alone with my own thoughts. I look to the shadows of myself, and I don't even have time to kiss my teeth clean. The poet's ego is a tombstone. The tombstone sits in a grave of the forgotten. Ain't more sky than up. Ain't more ghost than a beast searching for the source. The water is no pushover. The mountain is not brave. I speak of the poet as if I'm not looking in the mirror. I separate myself from the sharp teeth of truth and decide with this light in my eyes, I am less guilty and more American. Queen of nothing, ambassador of debt, matriarch of grief. Every language I know is a dying one. Speaking of dying things, I'm going to read this joint that I wrote for Plundered, the Plunder series in McSweeney. And I was able to write this poem thinking about Valeria Lucelli, who's an amazing abolitionist writer. And we are both Art for Justice Fellows, which is just this fund that spread a lot of money around specifically to artists who were impacted by mass incarceration, who were thinking about different ways of restorative justice, transformative justice, expanding the narrative around the criminal legal system. And yeah, so this poem actually is, if you have McSweeney or access to it, it's at a bookstore. If you don't, just email me and I will send you a copy of the PDF. The poem happens in the footnote. So the question is, when do you know your country is a question unanswered? Answer. The moment a ghost of an immigrant whispers, or we realize this country ain't gonna give us no freedom. Freedom ain't nothing but a word, ain't nothing but a pretty song in the key of an anthem that ain't ours. The moment we learn liberation ain't ours, unless we're willing to demand it, decolonize for it, unless we are willing to lose our own selves for it, unless we are willing to lose our place in the capitalism of things. Order in the room, the court, the womb, got a flag planted in it. Unless we walk through the valley of the damned, slice the air with more than intentions, pledge allegiance to the end of politics and patriarchy, pledge allegiance to the end of state-sanctioned death. Be uncomfortable for it, be uncomfortable in it. Picket line uncrossed until we obligate our last breath to the justice of our murdered and mistreated, until we gift the new world an accountability plan, Black Dawn ordained with the nectar of equity, until we locate and relocate a jury who ain't our peers. Watch them lose teeth and sleep over the babies murdered for practice. Watch them lose weight over crime reports, faulty pipes, invisible borders erected in the likeness of small men, garden soil turned graveyard, a lecture in divisibility, when we begin to walk around with our hands cloaked, face mask on, the real color of reckless, Black and alive, brown and alive, indigenous and alive, trans and othered and alive, poor and disabled and still people, living, eyes gleaming like the prayers they choose to forget. These poems be in the business of getting dirty. Watch the ghosts and duppies and spirits rise. Watch our ancestors return to plunder the earth of spilled salt genealogy. These poems are just a timestamp, a righteous light, a placeholder, a touchstone of what irrational fears can steal. Liberation ain't ours unless we are willing to demand it. Decolonize for it, unless we are willing to lose our own selves for it, unless we are willing to lose. Ain't no room in capitalism for the healthy, and the womb still got a flag planted in it. Ain't you scared? Question, can water clean a history? Answer, no. This water cannot rinse the blood from our streets. It is too heavy with lead. All right, hope I'm okay on time. I got time for 2 more? It's okay, cool. So there's a lot of repetition that happens in my poem. There's a lot of jazz utterances. There's a lot of meditation, and all of that exists because of, I think, my affinity for Sister Sonia Sanchez. It was finding her work that I think, made me understand my specific voice. And meeting her, and becoming someone who's able to call her and spend time with her. She was actually an awardee for the Black Girl Magic Ball last year. Has been just a true blessing. I feel very lucky to sit at the hem of the greats, right? The people that we have studied. So I wrote this for her. We were celebrating her legacy, myself, Ursula Rucker, and Jessica Caramore. And I wrote this poem. It's a poem in 3 parts. The first is a cento, which, as you know, I'm always going to do the poetry class, y'all. I'm sorry. But the cento is the poem that exists of lines that already exist in poems, right? So the cento is my favorite lines from poems of hers. And then the second part of the poem is a dissertation. I did go to MFA program at Pratt Institute. I incurred a beautiful amount of debt, and I decided I'm putting dissertations everywhere, child. Until I am free of that debt, dissertations for life. Finally, the last part of the poem is the homage to her. It's called For Sonia in 3 parts. Cento. Forgive me if I laugh. You are so sure of love. You are so young, and I am too old to learn. Can you tell the morning stars? The air is so sweet, river dark with sound, speech, and breath. Can you tell the stars, tell the ocean, she is a holy one, leaving trail of witnesses smiling. Amen. A woman. Our braided spaces, glass gone mad, yellow razor thin light, shiny sugar and pure woman. Conceal a symphonic shudder, 1,000 sermons, conjugated pain. Wild stars, southern eyes bloom in the night. We taste the blue midnight, stars between my teeth. Black magic is you. Get caught in my voice. It is a wild sea. Love shifts the air and we blossom black. Picture a woman, her spine, her rotating the earth, her leaning into our birth cloud eyes, jumping rivers, inhaling moons. Imagine her free to knowing. I ain't known I was worth the snarl and spit. This name, this Black girl gone, Black woman arrival. I ain't never known I was worth fighting for until I read a Sonia Sanchez poem. 3, root workers. We roll up sleeves and bend from the knees. We sing beneath our breath, it's gonna be heavy. We still swing big despite the justice system of letdown, and we still show up on time. We arms open, we hands open, we hearts open, and we love the way we fight until empty, until sun replenishes, until laughter fills the well. We return to the front line. We hammer, we hatchet, we ready to love a life. We ready to rock a stone cold gaze into dust. The Black girl you watched harassed is someone's daughter. The Black woman you watched berated is someone's daughter. There is no redemption in swinging out of your weight class. There is no glory in the demise of our Black women. We be the daughters. We be the bridge makers. We be the pot servers. We be the cleanup crew. We be the aunties. We be the writers. We be the spell weavers. We be the holiest of holy. We pray for you. We double-edged women. We gather like a fist of freedom papers. We coal of storm. We coal of storm and glory. We a country surrounded by ghosts. We pray for ourselves. We watch our sisters pray for we. We blessed in this knowing. We Black palms open and up. We Black spirit and divine. We ain't never been steel bars. We ain't never been glass ceiling. We ain't never shuck, nah, we saunter the testimony. We clean the spirit. We manifest, and we ain't leaving till we choose. We be the daughters. We be the daughters. and we got root work to do. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mahogany. That was amazing. Wow. A lot of like just incredibly beautiful pieces here. We're going to open this up for some questions. So you can write your questions in the chat. I was like trying to think of a question to sort of kick it off. And like, I always think back of like young poets that I knew as teenagers. And there's always some like funny, quirky story about each person. But Tonya was like such like a polite, determined, focused teenager that like you don't have any like funny, embarrassing stories that I can remember. It was sort of like, hey, you're on the slam team, go up there and just get like a perfect score on this poem, and she would just go out there and do that. And it was just like, that was always Tonya. So yeah, I mean, I guess my first question is just like, because Mahogany and Tonya worked together for many years. Just love to know a little bit, just like a little snapshot into your all's relationship in the arts and as artists together.
Absolutely. So Mahogany was my mentor for many years, especially the formative years of me in college at NYU. And she was my coach for my youth poetry slam team and for the adult slam team. So I've worked really closely with Mahogany, and I love her so much. And I feel like the person I am today is really just like due to you. So I can say that as an artist, one thing that I've taken with me throughout the years, I remember being on the Neo team, and we were at a practice, and we were all gathering poems to like submit that would like go on for the competition. And I remember submitting a poem that I think just needed more work, and Mahogany was really good. She just drew like a big X in the middle of the poem and was like, try again. And I keep that with me because I love that. Like, I love that like editing process of like, and I carry that with me today. I'm like, this is not going to work. And I just like X it out, and that it's okay to like, I don't know. I'm grateful for that kind of love in the writing. And I think that really translated to the relationship we had and have. And so yeah, I'm just grateful. I just, as someone who's just older, and I think about myself as a Black woman, I really look at Mahogany, and she's just like such an incredible example of how to exist in this world as a writer, as a woman, as a person. And so, yeah, I was a really quiet 18, 19-year-old. I'm pretty much still the same. I just, got a little older. And that's about it. I have a cat now. But yeah, I think at the time I was in college. I was a freshman at NYU. So I was in a different space in my life. But yeah, Mahogany was more than a mentor, more than like a poetry coach. She was a friend and was there for me in my personal moments. And I carry her in my heart all the time. So yeah, that's how I feel about her.
That's wild. I do remember Xing out that poem.
Yeah.
All right. I need to talk about my process real quick. All right. There's two people, maybe three young people that I've worked with that you can see the genius, and you can't coddle them in this like, safety wrap on under the guise of like, you're a young person and it'll get better. No, I see the genius. And I spent so much time with Tonya. I had the honor of publishing her first chapbook. I was, anytime she said I need to be somewhere, I would be there. Graduation, whatever, I'll be there. Absolutely. I believe in her as an artist and as a human. So that's where the X comes in. Just so y'all know, I don't want nobody don't on the Twitter. You know how they like, you are breaking the spirit. No, I'm building the spirit. We need to be able to take a no. All right. That's not it. You are doing this work at a higher level. The standard of Tonya's writing when I met her was comparable to adults. And it's a rarity when I see it. When I see it, I know it. I'm like, yo, you're fearless on this page. And I can tell when you're hiding, right? So either don't write about it right now, wait till you're strong enough to take it to the stage, or tell the truth, shame the devil. And that's what I learned from working with Tonya specifically, is that you don't have to be so precious with the people you love. If you love them fiercely, and you love them through it all. And it's a trip that I met her at 18. God, that's so wild. I feel, let me stop pulling on the skin, child. The elasticity might come away. But I do feel like I was growing up with you. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like mom vibes. It was definitely like big cousin, auntie vibes. I would fight for Tonya. I think I tried to fight a couple of people who made her sad. I was like, oh, I'll come see you, the end. And they're like, Mo, you're the mentor. You're not supposed to do that anymore. But sometimes Oakland comes out. You just can't help it, right? And you love how you love. But what I learned in working with Tonya is that the most vulnerable parts of us are still worth celebrating, even if it feels too broken or too messy. Like it's not a shameful act in relinquishing the things that tried to break us, and putting it under the light, as long as we're doing it in an attempt to heal, right? And I think that's what your poems have done for a very long time. You were always looking and moving towards a healing place. So I think that's my answer, Sorelli.
Love it. Beautiful. Yeah, I wish we just had some funny story, embarrassing story, but like Tanya's just so buttoned up, like forever still, that
Let me
the funniest like quirky moment is like watching her on The Price is Right when she won and she ran out to whoever, it's not Bob Barker anymore, and she sat on the floor. She just sat straight on the floor, and I was like, that's
good. I love that clip. I saved that clip on my phone. I love that clip.
Does anyone have any questions? We're gonna go a little over, and just to answer any questions that y'all may have. This incredible duo.
I have some questions in private chat. I'll just read. I'm glad I was able to. Are you sure you're not from the South? From East Stanley. Hi, Stanley. All right. So look, my grandmother and my paternal grandparents are from Louisiana. That is where most of my twang comes from. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, is from Texas by way of, was it Los Angeles, Mom? Yes, Compton. Or they used to call it Plum Nelly. It was like on the outskirts. But that's where that language comes from. Absolutely, the migration from the South. Where are your people from, Tonya? Who inspires your language now?
So I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, which is very much this accent. Was raised in the Bronx, and there is no hint of that in my language. I do not sound like I'm from the Bronx, but I'm very much like inspired by like the language, the kind of culture that is that. I think that comes out when I perform. I think my stage or performance voice is much more grounded in that kind of grit of New York, which is where I'm from. But my conversational voice is very Midwest, really just corn fields, and that's it. Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Word. I also just got a request for the PDF. I'm dropping it in your link now, so you'll be able to, if you're somewhere on a computer, you can just go ahead and download this. Thank you for asking and reminding me. I have a question for you, Tonya, and then for you, Sorelli. How has Urban Word changed the trajectory of your life? I know what it did for mine, so I'm wondering, how's it changed you?
Yeah, so I came into Urban Word like when I was a freshman at NYU, and at the time I was a journalism major. I wanted to write for like the Rolling Stone and like just go to concerts and write about it. But I came to my first workshop. I think Willie Perdomo was leading it. And I sat there and I was just kind of like mesmerized by just like the brilliance of like what you could do with language. And so I immediately changed my major, and it I met Mahogany around the same time. I was able to intern for her at Penmanship Books. I went on to do the competitions, and it literally changed my career path. And my major ended up being social justice, education, and performance poetry. And so my life started to inform my work instead of me wanting to go out and like write about music. I became the thing that I wanted to study, and like how to use my voice to help others.
Come on, somebody. That was a bar right there. Became the music I wanted to study. Huh? You better put that on a t-shirt. Sorelli.
So for me, my wife is standing right there. I met my wife who is judging an urban word slam. So she said I better say that. No, it's, you know, it literally has just been really just a privilege and an honor to be able to work in the service of literary arts. Met, you know, all of my closest friends I met through Urban Word, all of the young people that I've gotten the privilege to see grow, like Tonya, Carvin's, Lasan, like just so many that I'm still like in contact with. The poets that I love all came out of that organization, and then just to see it take a national scope really gave me like kind of a more kind of reignited my career in a lot of ways, because I was in New York City for so many years, just with the New York City program, and then as the program grew nationally, it's been exciting to still kind of like have a little newfound love of the work, because I could see the impact that it's making on the footprint nationally, and having programs all over the country to, you know, really celebrate youth poet laureates, which for me is like, you know, poets that are dedicated to changing the world. So if we can create a movement that does that, like, and I can have a role in helping facilitate that in any way, even if it's just sitting here writing grants all day, which is what I do most of the time. It's not that, it's really not that romantic, other than the romance that I found almost 20 years ago at the Apollo Theater when my wife decided to volunteer to judge the slam. Other than that, it's just, you know, just it's my family. So I love it. Yeah. Well, if we don't have any more questions before I start crying and babbling on, yeah, just a couple of things. Like I said earlier, the Black Girl Magic Ball is coming up. There's a link. If you just go 2022 Black Girl Magic Ball, you can check online to get tickets for that. It's going to be amazing. Just an amazing celebration that Mahogany really top to bottom produces, curates, hosts. Also, in terms of this series, the next one in 2 months, we're working on a showcase of youth poet laureates from across California. So just showcasing all the young people that have come out of the California program and some of their mentors as well. So that's something to look out for in a few months. And other than that, thank you Beyond Baroque for partnering with us on this. Of course, thank you, Tonya and Mahogany. We're going to close with a couple poems just to sort of wrap the night off right. So yeah, who wants to go first?
Maybe just one poem from Tonya. That's a perfect close. I had a long set. Yay. I love Tonya.
One thing I also want to shout out is I know there's like books, you know, like, so there's just books that they both have, lots of them, artwork, just purchase that stuff. Mo has like 20 books coming out. Norton, you name the publisher, they got a book coming out for her. And then Tonya has, you know, her incredible work that is just like really changing the world and just in terms of healing people. So thank you, Angeline, for the link there. All right, so we're going to close it out with Tonya, and we're going to let you all on your way. Thank you for joining us, and thank you, Tonya and Mahogany.
Thank you, Sorelli. Thank you, Mahogany. All right, so this poem, it's from my latest book of poems entitled How to Survive Today, which is like a book of prompts and affirmations just to help us through these struggling times. And so the title of this poem is How to Be Strong. I think there's such an emphasis on like, you gotta be strong, you gotta like work through it. But I think it's okay to be vulnerable. I think that is truly, truly, truly strength. So this is that poem, How to Be Strong. How to be strong. Don't. Be a hot mess, an ugly cry in the emergency room, the third rejection letter this week. Ruin your makeup while weeping over the unpaid parking ticket, the overdue phone bill, the how in the hell you gonna pay rent. Do not count the calories or your last mistake. Download Tinder immediately after the ex you met on Tinder leaves you. Borrow a shoulder to lean on and a Spotify playlist to lose your voice to. Find a good bath after dialysis. Find a cute dog after an anxiety attack. Find your name after you were called out of it. Write a love poem to the day you could not get out of bed. Laugh at the negative balance in your bank account. Be bold about your fears, about the diagnosis, about the day you thought you would not make it. Strength is an occupation, a marigold in dust, a thing we cannot see when the world is ending, but a reminder we keep when we survive long enough to see that it has not. Thank y'all so much for having us.
Wow, thank y'all. We're going to sign off right there. There's nothing to say. Sending you all love. Thanks, Tonya, Mahogany, Beyond Baroque. Peace.